if you think about Jesus, everything he did was to give people promises, and which he delivered to. As businesses, we're not paying attention. We're not paying attention of our customers. People out there must let go of the idea of, I must do what I studied at school.
Hi, Genies. Welcome to yet another amazing episode of Access Genie, the podcast that opens the doors to success in the world of entrepreneurship. We're coming to you live from the Cliffside Boutique Getaway, a spectacular, secluded getaway right in the heart of Northcliffe for business and pleasure. My name is Ancillar, and today we're bringing you such an impactful conversation. If you're an entrepreneur or in business or even part of a team within a corporate space, the important thing is sales, because a business that doesn't make sales cannot survive. And to have this impactful conversation, obviously I had to bring in the top dog in the space. His name is Themba Sales. He's amazing. He's a customer services coach. He understands the world of entrepreneurship and how you can make your customers believe in you, your product, and most importantly, buy into it. His company, Sell Smarter, is huge. Doesn't just operate in South Africa. You can find them in Lesotho, Botswana, Namibia, Tanzania, Kenya, Ghana, and the list continues to grow. So grab your cup of coffee or water or whatever it is that you need, because this is not something you want to miss. Thank you so much, Themba, for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
I am so interested in knowing so much about you and what you do. And the first thing, when I gave your intro, I said Themba Sales. Your original last name is Nkuna, but you go by Sales for a specific reason. And I think that's really important and impactful, because you're talking to your life and who you are and what you're about. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
What that came about is because of my passion for sales. I'm one of those who were crazy enough to start selling at age 7. Now, how that came about was my mother used to work for a bakery. Grew up in Limpopo, Palabura. So at the time I was doing my standard 1. And she used to come back home with like the leftovers, the cakes, the icing, those things from the bakery. But my favorite was the icing because it was sweet. Kids and sugar, they go together. But I had so much of this thing to a point that I didn't want to see it anymore. It was also a turning point of my life, because that's a time when my sales angel kind of dawned on me to say, don't hate this thing. It can make you money. I didn't understand that. And I'm trying to process it as a 7-year-old. Okay, I can sell this thing. At the time, I know nothing about entrepreneurship. I don't know the word entrepreneurship, but I know something about business. Because in the village, there's this old man, who's always dressed nice, in suits, who's always driving that bakkie, who's got a couple of shops around. He's always busy, this man. Everyone knows him. It sounds like he's doing business. It looks like this man is actually in business. So maybe it's actually selling something. So let me try to sell this thing and see how far it will take me. That's where my passion for sales started. Put this thing in a container, right? All I needed to start my business was a spoon. That's all I needed. Because the stock is here, the icing is here. My mother just keeps coming back with this thing. It's here. So all I needed was a container and a spoon. Following day, put that together, grab my spoon, we're in business. Guys, I'm selling this nice thing. It's so nice, it's so sweet, you'll love it. 20 cents a spoon. Packaging? No. How did we sell it? Just bring your hand. We put the icing here, you eat. Done. Nothing complicated about this business, right? But something amazing happened was the demand was becoming too much. During my break time, there's kids outside my class. They're waiting for me. They want this thing. So now I'm running out. So what do? We need to recruit now, right? We need to set up some HR department where we're taking in CVs. These young kids who wants a job, who wants to sell this thing with me, boys? And my friends were open to it. Okay, we'll sell with you. So that's how we expanded our operation. What I call today our icing sugar operation, right? Because now I was having other kids sell with me. I was teaching them how to package this thing, and I knew exactly how much that 2 liter, that ice cream tub thing that we used to bundle this thing in. I knew exactly how much it must make. To say, if you sell this thing after school, we're meeting at my house, right? And we actually, checking today's progress, and we expanded into other schools as well. There are different primary schools which we had in the village. So there was also other kids in those schools selling this thing. And after school, we met at my house to actually track today's performance and all those type of things. So what follows there is just sales, throughout my career. My father was working at the mines, the Fosco mine in Palabora. So he used to come home as well. It seems like I was lucky to have parents who were just bringing things back home, My father was bringing back empty drums of oil. In the mines they use like oil, like those big drums. So once they finished, the mines just throws them away because they've got no need for them. So my father would take 1 or 2, bring them home so we can use for water, to store water in these things. So it was coming with more, but he didn't know what to do with them because we've got like now 10 drums and this water everywhere. What do you do with this thing? No, man. I remember there's people in the village that sell traditional beer, and maybe this water problem also is not just our problem. Other people in the village, they also have water problems. That's when we started the door-to-door selling. Age 9, doing my standard 3 now. So I would go door to door. Do you need a drum for you to store water? I have one. Can sell you one for 25 rands. And I was getting this thing at no cost, basically. So once I started seeing the possibility of sales, that's when I loved it more. And I'll share with you exactly how that now translated to where I am right now.
I'm watching you tell the story and I'm seeing the smile in your face and the enthusiasm. And it's really fascinating for me that at such a young age, you had the insight to see possibilities. I was thinking about the kind of things my mom used to bring when I was a kid as well growing up. My mom was a nurse, worked at the hospital, and she would bring like bandages and things like that we always had at home. But not once did I think about selling any of those things or turning any of those things into a business, which means there was some sort of intuition that you had to be able to spot an opportunity and say, this can be turned into a business. Where did that come from? Do you remember when it started? Was it a particular point in time in your life, or was it something that's just innate within you?
My father's side, I come from a family of business people, right? So I like to believe that I've got something running in my blood that is about business. If I think about it, most of my, my brothers and sisters, they are people who are in business. So I would like to believe that it's something that runs through their family, especially from my father's side, like I'm saying. Because when I look at most people, these are people who are running their own businesses. It wasn't a moment for me where someone taught me about business, a moment where someone told me about business. It was just a moment that actually, and this is why I like to describe that moment when I was a 7-year-old as my sales angel kind of, activating something in me. That's the time for me where this entrepreneurship, this business thing actually kicked off. How it started. So I'm also one who, I'm a person who likes looking for solutions, right? And what I mean by that is I always believe there's opportunities out there. I always believe there's a solution to your problem out there. I also believe there's money out there. I don't like operate from a scarcity mindset. I always believe there's abundance, like so much. There's plenty of everything. Only if you are prepared to go out there, right? There's plenty of things, man, just in abundance. And if you just put your mind to it and be prepared to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty, you'll definitely get rewarded for that. So I think that's what actually, was going through, through me the time when I was now falling in love with this selling thing. Because and look, there's one point I have to mention. Once you start seeing how easy it is to sell something and in exchange for money, you don't stop.
And I love that you come from an abundance mindset, because it talks a lot to mindfulness and how hustling and doing stuff from a young age can change you. I go to the Seventh-day Adventist church, and one of the things that we are taught and is always said all the time, they say, give me a child from the time they're born until they're 7, because that's when their mindset is built. That's when their passion is discovered. That's when their character is built. And did that play a role in your life because you were doing so much when you were so young? Did it impact your mindset and how mindful you are in today's world of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, like I said, once you stretch your mind, it hardly goes back to its original form, right? And once you achieve a certain level, you want to go for the next level. You see what I mean? Once you achieve one level of success, the question that becomes, what's next? And that's why I'm saying, for me, when I was then seeing these possibilities, the question was always, what's next? Okay, so what do I do next? How do I grow next? How do I expand next? Type of a thing. You see what I mean? And this is why, from age 7 till where I am right now, my life has been followed by sales. It has been followed by selling something in any market, in any condition, in any region for that matter. And I'll cut the long story short and say to you, when I was at university, I was at the University of Pretoria. On my second year, something happened in the afternoon where my sister asked me to drive her to her friend's place to pick up something. I said, okay, it's fine, I'll drive with you. So I drove her to the place. When we got there, I found that what she was picking up was detergents, like your pine gel, your multi-purpose bleach, those type of things. So her friend actually owned a machine which manufactured those things. So my sister was not buying from the shops, she was buying directly from this lady. And I said, I can sell this thing. I can actually sell this thing. That's when I started selling detergents, right? So whenever I had free days, from varsity or not attending class and stuff, I was on the street selling. What was I doing? Door-to-door selling. I'd approach any restaurant or approach anyone and say, this is what I'm selling, and I can supply these things for you guys. And I remember the time I was supplying restaurants, because these guys, they need these things. They need like your pine gel to wash the floors, all this type of things, So that's the business actually which made my university days fun, because I was always making cash. So it was quite interesting because I actually recruited friends once again at university. I feel like I'm big on recruiting people, Once I see something working, I want a team to say, guys, let's go to market, let's do this thing. So I got a couple of my friends joining me. Let's identify people that we know. It could be our family members as well. Let's go sell this thing to them. So we're building our pipeline, just like that. Yeah.
And that makes sense. Talking about your post-university career, I know that when you graduated, you went and worked for Stetsa for a little bit of time, and then you moved back home to Limpopo to start a gravestone business with a friend of yours? Of course, I've done
Is that
my
your journalism
research.
background?
This is the journalist in me coming. There's nothing I don't know about you. I know it all.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
the interesting thing that I want to get out of you from that journey, you went back to Limpopo to start this business with a friend, but then about 2 years later or so, you came back to Johannesburg
Yeah,
to
yeah.
start again. What kind of lessons did you learn there, and what made you shift from that business to come back here to start afresh?
Okay, let's start it from when I left Stats, right? Um, it was becoming too much for me, and I remember my manager sat me down like this, and he said, "You have to decide what you want to do." Why? Because most of the time he was looking for me at my desk. I was not there. I was out delivering stock. I would be sitting at the office. A client calls me from wherever. They say, "We need 5 buckets of pine gel." I drop everything and leave. I dropped everything and went to deliver. And my manager is looking for me. I'm not there. A couple of times. So he sat me down one day. He said, "Look, I think you need to make up your mind what you want to do." So I thought about it. In fact, that was on my first year of Stats SA. And I think the mistake I made was to tell my parents that I'm planning to quit by the end of the year. And it didn't sit well with them. "No, you can't do this. We've paid so much money for you for university, all this type of things, all this blah 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 blah. What are you gonna do? Things are hard out there." And sometimes, listening to people and also your parents, you end up starting to listen. Because if your parents are telling you something, you in your world, like your parents should be the people that you listen to. So I listened to them. Say, "Hey, you know what? Maybe my parents, they're right. Maybe I shouldn't quit this thing. What am I gonna do, Vel?" It starts making sense. And this is why sometimes listening to people's opinion is not a good thing. Sometimes you just have to follow your gut, right? And just go for it. So my first year, okay, I didn't quit. Second year, I'm back there. But something inside me says, "No, man, you have to do this thing." There's that thing inside me. There's that calling inside me. There's something that's calling me. It's like there's so much noise inside me. Even in the morning when I wake up and I have to go to work, I'm just dragging myself because my mind is not on this thing. My mind is not here. So on my second year, what I did was I now became smart. And I said to my parents, "No, these guys, they're terminating my contract." I said, I've got a situation here. These guys are terminating my contract." And they went, right? Because I went to my manager and said, "What?" I said, "I'm leaving. I'm going to go out there and find Themba. I'm gonna go out there and create my world." And to that point, I think also what I was thinking of was that what most of us forget is that we're living on borrowed time. And what I mean by that is every morning, you're getting closer to your end. So the question is, how do you want to live your life? Right? Do you want to take those shots? Do you want to take those risks? That's what was going on in my mind, to say, I'm not going to live a life of regrets, And at the time, I remember I was listening to so many motivational speakers, man. And sometimes it can be dangerous, in a good way, though. Because these guys, they'll inspire you, they'll get your thinking going. And I remember, I can't remember whether it was Les Brown or, I can't remember who it was, right? Or Dr. Miles, I can't remember who it was. Someone said, most people's regrets is when they're on their deathbed, because now they're thinking of all those missed opportunities and stuff. And when I heard that, I was like, that's not going to be me, right? And someone else said, you see, in life, take that step, right? Because if it works, then you're fine. But it doesn't work, then you learn. You get my point? So just take that step, because if there's only two things which is going to happen. It's either it works or it doesn't work. But if it works, then we're fine. And it doesn't work, then you've learned. It means you can do what? You can improve. You can try again. And what maybe most people don't have is the ability to want to try again. First attempt doesn't work, we run back home. will retreat like that dog with a tail on its legs. Right? But the mentality of entrepreneur and a salesperson is one that actually nurtures resilience to say, where did I go wrong? How do I improve? And I'm a person who believes in there's no way a person can put their mind to something and not achieve it. I'm crazy like that. I don't believe a person can put their mind to something and not achieve it. It's not possible. If you put your mind to something, wake up every morning, dedicate your time, energy, resources, sweat, blood, tears, everything to this thing, it's going to happen. It's bound to happen. So now I left stats. I wanted to get into the business of developing people to think right, because I'm big on mindset. So I used to host these seminars around how to nurture the right mindset, positive thinking, all those type of things. Because I was inspired by the likes of like I said, Les Brown, Dr. Miles, and other people. So I was really wanting to become a speaker as well, to speak live to people, to say where you are is not your end. It's possibly the beginning. And you need to embrace that, work with that and create something out of it. Right? And it's a situation of when life deals you lemons, make lemonade type of a mindset, right? So I used to host these seminars, but anything that when you start something, it's very hard. I remember when Tyler Perry said, when he started this comedy thing, I can't remember, he said, I think about 6 people or something like that, only his close family members came through, but people didn't come, people didn't show up. So it's the same thing, and people must have that patience to understand that when you start something, you must get into a battle. And if there's anyone out there who doesn't understand that we're in a battle, I would like to recommend to them that they start understanding that, because when you start, you need to fight. So I started this thing. I had a bit of savings. Now my savings are running out because I'm not making like the money I want to make from this thing to sustain my lifestyle in Pretoria. And what must happen now? I need to pack my bags and go home to start from scratch. There's a song by Peter Tosh I like so much, start all over again. Pick myself up, dust myself, and start all over again. So I had to start all over again, and that's why I went home. This is me now when I'm 23. So I'm sitting with a friend in Limpopo, Palabora, and I'm looking for something to sell, because I'm sales, and this is why Themba sales. You ask the question about why this Themba sales thing, because I'm sales. Me and sales are one. You can't take sales out of me, and you cannot take me out of sales. Where me and sales are one thing. So when I was in Limpopo, I asked myself the question, but what can we sell here? Okay, so I'm sitting with this guy, and I asked him that question. Look, I need money. Right now, I'm not making money. What can we sell? This guy said to me, no, I used to work for this lady. She was selling tombstones. That lady was making money. And the following day, I had a tombstone business. So that's how it started. So we started selling this tombstone thing, right? And we had to think fast. So how do we move it? So these women who come together, and create like societies, those were our partners. We had to now think of a distribution channel fast. How do we penetrate the market fast? Okay, there's these women who come together once a month. They contribute some money. They do things and all those type of things. Let's win these people. So we're seeing them everywhere. Going there, introducing ourselves with the book that had like the different stones.
A brochure of sorts.
A brochure of sorts, yeah, definitely, yeah, that's the word. So we said to these women, this is what we do. We're looking for reseller partners. All you have to do is take this book, right? Sell to the people that you know. For every sale you make, we'll give you 10%. Our phone started ringing. I've got a cousin, where they're looking for a stone. Because people now want that 10%. I mean, if you sell a stone for 10,000 rands, you have like 1,000 rands. And people wanted money. You see what I mean? So our phone started ringing. We opened an office. and we had now employees. These are guys who now, these are women and men who were now selling these things. I was starting to come back, bought the first bakkie, I bought my second car, an Avanza, and I put that car to transport the mine stuff. The bakkie was, now we're using the bakkie for the stones, the installations, So the only reason that business didn't work was because of partnerships. So that's what kind of kicked me out of the business. But I'll tell you one thing for a fact. When I left that business, we're now at a stage where we're so close to getting funding from the IDC to set up a granite factory that was going to create 100 jobs locally. And we're also in the process of actually setting up an FSP because we already had the license. So we're also moving towards the direction of setting up some sort of a funeral, business through the stores and the police and stuff. Okay, lessons learned is the power of always looking for a way out. You must always look for a comeback, if I may call it that, because when I left the business, because of partnerships. When there's money starting coming in, things didn't go right and stuff.
How could you have protected yourself to ensure that you're still in the business and the business grows in terms of those partnerships?
So I believe what could have helped there really was I don't think also we had the right agreements in place. When you get into a business with a friend, most of us, it's just a gentleman's agreement. We're doing this. There's no agreements in place. There's nothing in place, basically. It's just a matter of, okay, I know you, you know me, let's do business together.
Dangerous. Very
Dangerous. So when I left Limpopo, it was because I wanted to come back this side so that I can find something that I'm passionate about. And that's when the Sell Smarter business started. Because my question then was, what's next? What can I do that I love so much? And it was sales. Okay, what can I sell? Maybe, because I was starting to get people approach me to say, how do you sell? You are always posting something that you're selling and stuff. How are you doing it? So I thought, okay, maybe let's do something around sales. That's how I set up my business. It was first called How to Sell Academy. Then we changed to Sell Smarter.
Your story is really fascinating, and I actually forgot a part of my story that's a little linked to yours. At some point, I used to sell coffin handles.
Coffin handles?
Yes, and it was big business. I just remember, oh my goodness, for a period of about a year, while I was working at Forbes, I sold coffin handles.
Is it?
Yeah, because my friend and I discovered that it's actually big business. There's a lot of coffin makers, but they have to source handles in bulk from somewhere.
Okay.
And it's a business that I did without needing to go anywhere. We found a supplier that actually makes the coffin handles, which meant that we could buy them for cheaper.
Yeah.
So I'd literally be sitting at Forbes at work, get an order, just process the order online. And then the next day, the coffin handles are delivered to me, and then I go and deliver to client. And it was actually good business. We're making about 7,000-8,000 rand in profits per week without moving or going anywhere. It's just,
look at that.
It's just fascinating.
I want to add something to that. If there's one message I could share with the youth out there, is that find something to sell. Find something to sell. I promise you. Find something to sell. Look at that. Coffin handles.
Yeah.
There's always something you can sell, guys. There's just something. There's something that people need.
Yeah.
You just have to identify that thing, find where you can source it from, just sell it. There's
And
always
just
something to
sell.
sell.
That's really
8,000
true.
rands a week.
A week, just chilling.
That's
you know?
32K a month.
Listen, that's just chilling. And with that, on top of that, we used to buy clothes from this lady who used to come through all the offices in Sandton, and she was selling clothes from the boot of the car. And I always wondered, where does she get all those nice clothes? And I would ask her, and she would refuse to tell me. And then I'm like, I'm going to do my research. And we looked around, my friend and I looked around until we found the spot where she was buying in downtown Joburg. And we started doing the same thing. So it was really just supplementing. For me, I used to do it a lot for black techs. It's how I used to get my nice hair and nails and, just to supplement income and make yourself a little bit bit more comfortable. There's always something to sell. That's really true.
Can I also add to that? I want to add something to that. I also feel like people out there must let go of the idea of I must do what I studied at school. People must let go of that, right? Most of us are waiting for, but I've got an accounting degree, I've got a law degree, I've got a mechanical engineering degree. You must forget that and open your mind to other things.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? The most salespeople I work with today and that are trained are people who are doing they've studied something totally different and now they're in sales and they're killing it. And most people are even saying, I'm glad I'm here. I don't think I was going to enjoy that compared to what I'm doing here. And also, I don't think I was going to earn what I'm earning here compared to what I was going to earn there. So the people who can sell will always earn more.
Always earn more. So I really love that you're touching on sales like that. But a lot of young entrepreneurs would say, I've started a business and it's difficult to make sales. So because I see Access Genie as really a masterclass for entrepreneurs to learn about how they can grow their businesses, I'm going to throw in a case study
Let's go for it.
you so that we can solve it together. So after this, you need to be able to sell whatever product or service that you have in your business. So let's take, for example...
This answer is worth millions.
Worth millions, because he charges for this.
This answer, this specific answer I'm going to give you now is worth millions. And I'm hoping someone is going to take it and make something out of it.
Yeah, for sure. So let's use this case study. A young chef has really come from chef school and they want to open their own restaurant.
Yeah.
They found good location, they've built a good website, they've got great food, and everything is in place for them to start getting customers in the door.
Yeah.
But they're struggling to get customers outside friends and family. And even with that, they're finding that friends and family don't always support.
Yeah.
They're even struggling to get friends and family into the business. What steps should they take first to start getting their first, say, 100 customers?
Okay, so to be a salesperson, you must be a marketing genius, right? And I remember sitting with my coach the other day. He said to me, we're now at a time where, number one, it's so easy to actually make money. We're living in a time where it's so easy to make money.
Yeah.
Do you know what makes it easy? Internet and social media, to be specific. I've got a feeling that the majority of people out there don't use social media to their benefit. They don't fully leverage on social media. How did you find me?
Social media.
Social media. And what did you do?
Reached out.
You reached out.
Yeah.
You found me on Insta, right? Look at that. You didn't know me. I didn't know you. We didn't have to meet in person. But what did you see on my Insta? You saw my sales videos, isn't it? You saw something I was doing around sales. And you reached out. So that's what I personally believe people need to do. They need to be able to put their brands out there. They must be able to communicate the messages out there, right? They must be able to get to a point where they're comfortable and confident to really, give customers a reason why they should try them out. That's the first thing. Marketing is essential. And don't be shy. I used to think marketing is expensive.
So how do they do this? In this instant, they've got a restaurant and they want to get their initial 100 clients step by step to get those 100 clients. Are they creating content? How are they becoming this marketing genius?
Okay, perfect. So the first thing I would do in that situation, I would host a group of people at a minimal fee, right? I would host a couple of people. I would give them what I call the experience. You want to first give people the experience. You want to give people a taste of what to expect. So I'll invite, the type of people I want to do business with, the type of clients I would like to have at my restaurant. If I'm aiming for executives, whatever, I would say, guys, on this day I'm hosting an event where I'll give you an experience to my restaurant. This is what we're serving. The fee is going to be this, right? Can you please come through? And once they're there, I'll actually I'll film that entire experience. right? And once that's done, I would actually get to a point where I get the people to share the experience of what they thought about the food. And once that's done, I would create a communication platform where now I engage these people, but I would also create a situation where I now start using my customers as my advocates. The best marketing tool for your business is your customers. And something happens with customers is that most people will give you a chance the first time just to experience you. And this is the mistake salespeople make. Salespeople think my relationship with the customer ends when they buy. But that's when it starts. Before you buy, we haven't started anything. We're still engaging, right? Okay, we started something, but it's not really solid. But once you buy from me for the first time, now I have to protect that. Now I have to lock you in, right? And the best way to lock you in is to ensure that I become obsessed about serving you, about making you happy. Because once I get you excited and happy, then you come back. And once you come back, you start to trust me and like me. And once you trust me and like me, you start referring me to your network. There's this place, wherever, best experience, go try it out. So, you've got these people that you're inviting for this experience. They're liking your food. At the end, they're sharing what they thought about the food. What we want to do now is to start leveraging on those relationships with these guys. Create some sort of an engagement platform where you now, I'll give an example in our business. We just finished our Sales Smarter app now, where it's going to have a CRM component, not to annoy people, but to keep our customers engaged about what we're going to do next. Keep them, posted on our next events, all this type of things. So I personally believe that it should be something that is so intimate that you communicate with your clients, right? When you have something exciting, you communicate with them. But let me add another important part to what must then happen from this point. Create loyalty programs and reward systems for your customers. Why do most of us go back to a Starbucks? Why do we do that? It's because I know that I'm likely going to get my 10th coffee for free. Right? So create some sort of a loyalty program for your clients. We've seen this situation where restaurants it doesn't have to be like a Wacky Wednesday type of situation. It doesn't have to be a Wacky Wednesday situation, but you want to have those nights, those intimate nights with your customers. You want to give them the best experience. For example, I like going to the Daruma restaurant by Oskido in Waterfall. They've got this thing of, I think it's couples nights every Wednesday, right? And it's so intimate. And that's why I keep going back. So you also want to create those intimate moments with your clients. So get your marketing right. Get them feeling good about the experience around them. Create a platform to communicate with them. Keep them engaged. Use them to drive marketing for your business. And they can only do so if you start maintaining that relationship with them. Themba, we've seen that for the past 2 months you've actually been visiting our restaurant and stuff. We'd like to offer you an extra meal at no cost. This one's going to be on us. Because you want to make it exciting as well, right? Bring your friends. This is going to happen. Bring your friends. We're going to reward you in the following way. Bring your friends. You'll get a bottle of wine at no cost, whatever the case might be. And the most important thing, like I've said, when it comes to maintaining those customer relationships, is ensuring that you give them the best service. Because what happens when customers get bad service? They leave. They don't come back. So don't just be excited about how many customers we have. Also start paying attention to, do our customers come back? Or it was just a once-off interaction with us and all this type of things. Is this leading us somewhere?
For sure. I really love this conversation because I think one of the missed opportunities when people are building businesses is being client focused and thinking too much about the bottom line and not really how the customer experience is like. A few startups think about even journey mapping before they start the businesses, where you don't even know which are your clients' pain points when you ask somebody on your platform or your website before people book? What do they behave like? How is their behavior? And what does that tell you about the experience that you're giving them on your platform? Because I might want to book a seat for my husband and I at this particular restaurant, but at some point, I end up logging off and going elsewhere, where business doesn't even understand why I'm choosing to go elsewhere than at your establishment. So that journey mapping and being customer-centered is really key, and just understanding your insights. I think that's
definitely
one thing that we really miss when people build websites. It's just for the sake of building your website. Yet a website is there to give you valuable insight to help you grow your business and reach your targets and even surpass them.
There's a question in my mind that it's asked, but I haven't answered. When I was at university, I didn't tell you what I studied. Right?
Info, I know.
Okay.
I know everything, but tell our audience because they don't know.
Okay. So when I was at university, I actually started with multimedia. My degree was multimedia. That's what I did when I got to the University of Pretoria. I didn't like comp sci. I didn't like programming because I didn't have that background from high school and stuff. So it was a little bit, too much for me. I switched to information science. What information science is, it includes information and knowledge management. It includes marketing. It includes business management. It includes competitive intelligence. So you can think of all those, what do you call it? There's a word I'm looking for. Disciplines. Thank you. You can think of those disciplines combined, what comes out of that. But the core purpose of this qualification is how to leverage on your data. And I remember when I was doing my final year, Prof. Achidik actually put us into groups. And he said, I want you guys to think of a business that you can start. As part of the qualification, what business can you start that speaks to what you are studying? Right? And he said, I have to tell you though that so many students, I know of some students actually that were in this class that actually took this business they actually started here in this class and make it a business out there. So you guys think about it. So yeah, my friends and I will come up with a business that actually address the data gap, but mostly from a market research perspective. To say if you're a business wanting to tap into market, we can assist with like those market insights. We can source your primary data, secondary data, and create a story for you to say if you're looking to enter into new markets, here's the insights that you need for you to be able to tap into that. But when we graduated, we didn't go ahead with that business because at the time we didn't really understand it. We were not exposed to the world. It was just a classroom thing. You see what I'm saying? We were not exposed to the world to say, actually, this is a need out there. So later in life, here's this thing coming back to me to say, actually, what we're doing in class is actually what Sales Matter should be. I'm now speaking to your point around websites and insights and all these type of things. And in October, we're hosting a workshop for marketing professionals on how to drive marketing in the age of data, right? The challenge here for most businesses is we are not, and I'll take you back to what I said when we started. We're not doing what? We're not paying attention. As businesses, we're not paying attention. We're not paying attention of our customers. We're not paying attention of what they're saying. The case study, the person that owns that restaurant, the chef, one of the things that the chef must do is to always get customer reviews at the end of everything, right? When a customer leaves that restaurant, they must leave a review. There must be a platform that's collecting customer feedback. Did we meet your expectation this time? If yes, thank you. If no, what can we improve? No, I didn't like the time we had to wait before we get our food. We didn't like how the waiter, the waitress, interacted with us, all this type of thing. Because you're then going to use that data, that feedback to improve. And this is how now you keep your customers. You see what I'm saying? Was the food nice? all these type of things. So I believe this age of data is actually a very essential one for businesses to really start taking seriously, because without paying attention and listening to our clients, we'll always get sales, but won't sustain those sales. So we're always running this recycling machine where we get people, they leave, we look for them, they leave, we get people, they leave. It's like an endless loop. And as a business, you don't want that, especially in this era that we're in right now. Which era are we in? The competition era. You can't afford to lose clients right now because everyone is gunning for the same client. Everyone is gunning for the same client. Businesses, your competitors are coming for your customers. You can't get comfortable, which means you really need to put in the effort to get your customers happy. So that even when someone comes and says, you know what, I don't feel like moving, where I am, I'm still fine. But most of us, when should someone approaches us right now, we jump because what I'm getting there, right? So let me rather go see what you have that side, type of a thing. You see my point? So this age of competition, it calls for entrepreneurs, businesses to really pay attention to their clients as a way to keep them.
Even for born salesmen like yourself, selling is tough. It's not easy for many people, and I'm sure in your journey you've also encountered some setbacks or struggles in the sales front. Can you share a story that has happened to you that where you're like, okay, this here, I've been knocked down to the knees?
A moment where selling was hard for me was when I didn't know what I was doing. If I may put it like that. If you try to do something that you don't know how to do it becomes frustrating. And I'll give you a practical example. It was when I was studying multimedia, that computer science and programming is a typical example. It became hard for me because it was my first time doing it, right? And I didn't exactly know what I was doing. I was just kind of figuring things out. Until you get to a point where you understand something, it becomes easier. So now, the question around my story and selling becoming hard and all these type of things, I personally believe that the people who are finding sales to be extra challenging for them is because they haven't mastered how to do it right. They're just kind of trying. And a person who knows how to do sales and do something right is someone that, if you ask them, can you do what you just did again, and they're able to repeat it, right? I'm not saying every time you approach clients they'll just buy because you've mastered this formula. There's reasons why people don't buy. They don't buy because they already have a service provider. They don't buy because they've built relationships with other people. And that's now the second part of selling, what people should master. You must master the art of building relationships. What's making sales hard today is also competition, like I've said. Because the market is competitive. You have to give customers like a reason. You have to give them a big reason why they should go for you, why they should go with you, why they should drop whoever is currently taking care of them, and they must go with you. So, like I'm saying, for me, it wasn't a matter of I'm struggling because sales generally selling is hard. It was mainly because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know how to speak to customers. I didn't know how to present myself. I didn't know how to articulate my value proposition. I didn't know so many things.
And I think it also comes back to knowing what your business is about. Because sometimes entrepreneurs even struggle to say, this is what we're about, and speak about it confidently, because you don't say it enough outwardly. You just assume because I say I'm in marketing or in photography or in the service space, people are going to know what it is that you do. And just knowing your story and knowing it well and knowing exactly what you do makes it easier to sell the business, because everybody can understand through you telling your story what it is that you actually do.
Do you know what sells also? Do you know what sells? Confidence sells. Confidence sells.
And you can't get confident if you don't know your story.
No, you can't get confident if you don't know your story.
Because what do you say?
There's a couple of people I like really who demonstrate so much confidence. Someone like Bonang, for example. I like Bonang because she speaks with confidence. She knows herself. You know? And this is why she's a salesperson. Bonang is a salesperson. In fact, I'm going to approach Bonang. Maybe the next time I host my sales workshop, she must come and facilitate with me. Because Bonang is a salesperson. And people think maybe being a salesperson, it just means selling this book, selling this water. Being a salesperson also means the ability to sell yourself. Because people buy you first. Before you buy my book, you're going to buy me first. Oh, this guy, is sure about himself. He's sure about what he's doing. He's confident about the things that he's doing. Let me then buy his book and hear exactly what he's saying in the book. But if I'm talking about my book and selling, selling is hard, selling is this, selling is difficult, you're not going to buy my book. Come on. You know what? So you have to have the ability to sell yourself first. Sell yourself. Convince me that you are the one.
Yeah. And we're living in the world of this idea around creating businesses of shared value within the company, the employees, the communities that you serve, or the communities that you form a part of. What role does empathy then play when it comes to sales? Because I know, especially during COVID-19, if I'm to use my PR business as an example at Ralinka Media, we had some clients who went through difficult times, whose industries were heavily impacted by COVID. For example, in the alcohol space, right, where alcohol is banned, it means there's nothing that's coming in for those clients. And those people are our clients. However, now they can't sell. Then there was now a huge room for empathy where we had to also take a step back and be empathetic to the situation and what they were going through. How do you balance empathy in the sales business and reaching your targets and your goals? Because there needs to be some sort of balance, and you can't always be pushing and calling back and saying, this is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah. So the answer is a simple one. It's called win-win. That's the simplest answer I can give.
7 Habits of Highly Effective People. If you haven't read that book, it's really amazing.
Yeah.
He really talks about that a lot. Yeah.
It's all about win-win. Create a win-win.
Yeah. Can you walk people through who don't understand the win-win mentality, or what that book specifically talks about? It means?
If I'm not helping you win as my customer, I'm not winning myself. Because my win is going to be short-term. I will win you for now, but I won't sustain that relationship. And this is what sales has been. And this is how people still practice sales. They're manipulative in their nature. They short-sighted-minded, if I put it like that. They're interested in just, let me get the sale for now because I'm hungry. I need something to actually keep me going, type of thing. But you have to, I think when you talk about empathy and all these type of things, it speaks to understanding where my customers are, right? And if you can see really that I'm misleading people here, I don't believe in that. As a person, not even as a salesperson, but as a person, my values don't allow me to take advantage of people. You see what I'm saying? And understand, some businesses, some people out there, salespeople may not agree with me when it comes to this one, because they say, never lose the opportunity to close the deal. Never lose the opportunity to make money, all these type of things.
Sometimes you have to lose it because you have to look at the person and say, this is not the time to sell. I just need to be an ear, or I need to offer advice or whatever it is in that particular moment.
Sometimes I lose the money, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I lose the money. Maybe I lose the money is not the right word. Sometimes I
invest.
There's a word I'm looking for, which I can't find. I don't take the money now, but it comes later.
Your seed.
I plant a seed, like those type of words. Definitely, sometimes I plant the seed, and I am open-minded to say, okay, you know what? This is not the time. Let me plant the seed here. Because what happens when you eat the seed? That time you're just eating the seed. Because once you destroy that relationship, they never come back. But once you plant that seed, it now, becomes something that feeds you for a lifetime. You see what I'm saying? That tree feeds you for a lifetime, but you only plant it once. You don't have to plant every year. So I think for me, that win-win is key. Create a win-win situation with your customers. Understand, is your win their win? I believe business and sales, it should be a fair exchange. You should be paying me for the value that I bring, and I should be taking your money. I should be taking your money for the value that it brings, but also you must be paying for my solution, my product, because it will do exactly what I said.
But in business in general, it's also easy to become deflated when it seems like you are working hard, but the wheel is turning very slowly and you're knocking on the doors and it gets difficult. Earlier, you spoke about the idea of confidence and having that self-belief, but it's not always easy for some people, especially because we are born in a continent and in a world where we're taught to shrink ourselves and we are seen as other, and we're taught you don't look somebody in the eye, you have to be quiet, speak softly, don't be too loud, don't be too flamboyant. So from the time when we're young, we're taught to weaken ourselves and not to be as big and as powerful as we are. How do you advise young entrepreneurs who struggle with that to change their mindset, and what steps should they take to be able to unlearn those things that we've been raised with and we've been taught to become this new true self that is within you?
Yeah. I'm going to answer the question in two ways. The first way, I'm going to talk about how I did it myself. I'm going to talk about how I did it, right? If there's one thing that actually, well, not one thing, but if there's a major thing that really made me what I am today, it's three things, right? Number one is having a mentor. Number two is attending masterclasses, workshops, seminars. And number three is reading books. I'm a big fan of the three. Different books. It can be a book about communication, how to communicate. It can be a book around how to build your brand. Right? It's a book on how to build relationships. I read a book in 2014 called How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's a book I read.
One of my favorites.
I loved that book so much. I love that book so much, and I believe that book really contributed to what I am today. So you don't just wake up one morning and say I'm now going to speak loud when I talk to people. I'm going to start looking people in the eye when it's a process that I believe a person should go through, and having the ability to have someone give you feedback, and that's the role of a mentor now, to say, look, Themba, I think every time I interact with you, I see you lacking here. I think maybe improve on those areas. The quality of your questions. You don't ask the right questions, because some people struggle with asking the right questions, especially in sales. So maybe you need to work on what questions to ask and how to ask them. How you present yourself. How you sit. When you're talking to people, maybe you need to work on that. It's that confidence thing. You see what I'm saying? And there's a fine line, and people maybe can still somewhat confuse the two. There's a difference between confidence and arrogance. I personally believe maybe the story you shared about how we grow up, maybe what they were trying to teach us was not to be arrogant. And maybe it kind of seemed like it was not to be confident. But the teaching, when I think about it now, it seems to me like it was teaching us to be humble as a person. Being humble does not mean that you're not confident about yourself. Being humble means you're not arrogant. You're not an arrogant person. You see what I'm saying? So you can be so much. You can have so much confidence without being arrogant. This is why even today people still label some as being arrogant when they're actually just confident about themselves. Do you get my point? So the issue here, I don't think is confidence. The issue is arrogance. I'm confident, but I don't think I'm arrogant. I'm not an arrogant person. You see what I'm saying? So for someone really who's struggling with these things, I definitely think we all need, the thing is we cannot go through life without having other people help us in a form of mentors, in a form of coaches. And it always puzzles me whenever I hear someone says they don't have a mentor, they don't have a coach, because I don't understand how they're planning to do life. It doesn't make sense to me. If a person doesn't have a coach or a mentor at least, it says to me, you want to do life the hard way. That's what it means. You want to do it the hard way. Not to say you're having a coach and a mentor is not going to be challenging, but at least they help you minimize certain mistakes, help you overcome challenges. You see what I'm saying? So a mentor is someone who's going to somewhat help you not to make a silly mistake. You will still make certain mistakes, which is what and how we grow. But there's some mistakes which are just so silly. You don't have to make this mistake. I made it. Don't make it again. And for me, possibly that's what I needed when I started my business, because I didn't have a coach. I didn't have a mentor. That's why I made so many mistakes. I made mistakes. And someone can argue and say, yeah, but those mistakes shaped you. Yes, to some extent, but I don't think some mistakes were necessary. We can't go live and say, I want to make my own mistakes. As long as it's not mine, I'm not going to learn from it. Because you can. You don't have to learn from your own mistakes. You can learn from other people's mistakes. Do you get my point?
So true. Talking about books and the importance of reading and mentorship, I think sometimes just reading other people's writing is a form of mentorship, right?
Yeah.
Because people can mentor you from afar. For example, for me, Oprah is one of my mentors, and I've never met her in my life, never spoken to her in my life. But
Yeah.
I read her writing, I listen to her speak, and
Yes.
it teaches me so much. And I think your book, Self Smarter, in itself is a form of mentorship. If you haven't gotten this book, please make sure you do, because there's so many lessons here. Can you talk to us a little bit about the kind of things that people would learn from this book, and also a selling and branding and marketing thing I like about this is that it is actually the name of your business.
Yeah,
so the book is Sell Smarter, the business is Smell Smarter, you are smarter for making the smart decision. Talk to us about what kind of things people can learn from this incredible book.
Okay, so I might get into trouble with my fellow Christians. Why? Because how I start the book there, I talk about Jesus being a salesperson, right? So, and what I mean by that is, if you think about Jesus, everything he did was to give people promises, and which he delivered to. It's one thing to make a promise; it's another to deliver to that. Right? Follow me, I'll make you a fisher of men. Yeah, you remember that one? Mm-hmm. What is that? That's a sales pitch. Do this. This is going to happen. And this is why I'm saying there's a fine line. I might get into trouble with my no, but this guy now, how can you just as an example and stuff? Keep an open mind, please. Right? Because there's lessons we can learn here. Second thing, Jesus never gave clear answers. Well, maybe not never, he hardly.
Spoke in parables.
He spoke in parables.
Yeah.
He spoke in parables. You ask a question and he says, imagine. You ask a question, his answer was imagine. Blah. Just give me the answer. I don't want to imagine. Give me the answer, right? But you would realize that the minute he gives you those parables, then you start to think. And you start to see the bigger picture. And you start to understand exactly why this thing is important. And sometimes customers need that. Instead of you giving them an answer, you wanna answer with a parable, with a story that's going. Can you help us with our sales? What can we do to grow our sales? Type of a thing. You wanna imagine their business now in Africa. You wanna imagine their business now in the world, taking over the world, type of a thing, right? For the guys who don't wanna maybe burn a little bit of cash on marketing, imagine a business operating all over the world. How does it feel like? How does it look like? Are you saying to me this 10,000 rand is going to be, the reason your business will not operate in the UK, in Africa, in China, just because of this 10K that we are saying you need to invest for your marketing? No, it can't be, right? So the things that people will learn from there really is, is stuff around that. The first chapter, talks so much around relationship management, how to build relationships with customers, which is what sales is today. You need to have your people. Everyone has their own people. You must have your people. So chapter 1 mainly talks about that, right? People are going to learn from the book The Power of Positive Mindset, because I'm big on mindset. You see what I'm saying? You talked about sales being hard, selling being hard. But I also believe that when you nurture resilience as a person, nothing stops you. I say in the book, the biggest battle that you must win first is the one in your mind. That's the biggest battle. Before you're fighting with the next person or fighting with the world and everything, you're first fighting with your thoughts. You're fighting with whatever's going on here. But once you win that, right? Once you win this, nothing in the world stops you. So those are some of the things which I personally believe people are going to learn from the book. They're going to learn how to master the art of closing sales. They're going to learn how to overcome customer objections. They're going to learn how to ask questions. They're going to learn how to, do their sales planning, goal setting, which is very important. Because sometimes we just do things as they come. I don't have a goal for myself. People are going to learn from the book how to organize themselves. Because most of us we're scattered everywhere. And the first rule for personal success, business success, and entrepreneurship is to organize yourself.
Self-leadership.
Self-leadership. You must have the ability to lead yourself. Without that, it's really, really hard to lead anyone out there, lead anything out there, grow anything out there. If yourself are not aligned, you're not in order. You are chaos. You are chaos, if I may use that harsh word. So organize yourself. But I also believe what's important for you learn the importance of investing in yourself. When I say investing in yourself, I'm not talking about your shoes. I'm not talking about that holiday, you want to go to. I'm not talking about, I'm talking about investing in you as a person, investing in your thinking. Taking the time to say, this next 2 hours is my time to listen to opera, right? It's my time to read Oprah's book. It's my time to do this. It's my time to ask those critical questions. Because most of us, we hardly get to a point where we stand in the mirror and ask the question, am I still going into the right direction? You don't pause and reflect, pause and ponder on certain things, on my activities. Am I still focusing on the important activities? Am I still doing the things that are going to advance me to my next level? Or I'm just always on the go. I'm just constantly on the rush to do something. You see what I'm saying? So there's practical lessons, really. When we talk about sales, it's not just about the ability to sell something. It's also about the ability to, create order, think right, speak well, all these type of things. Because sales, all these things, then they bring a salesperson. They make a salesperson. How to build a relationship with a customer. Some people I see, I just shift from one company now that I was doing business with. I went to another company. These guys, they didn't even notice. No one ever called me to say, we see you stopped coming to do this thing with us. What's going on? They're quiet. And I know for a fact that it's because they don't know that I left. Why? Because they're not talking to me. They're not engaging me, all this type of things. So that's what people will learn from the book.
Yeah. And as you're talking that, I'm reminded of the story I heard the CFO of, is actually the Chief Revenue Officer at Prime Media, Odlinda, saying that he used to live in the US and he was subscribed to Netflix. And at the time there wasn't Netflix in Africa, it was moving back home. in South Africa. So he had to cancel his subscription. And he said within 5 minutes, Netflix had called him to say, we see that you've canceled your subscription with us. Why are you leaving us? What is the reason for your unsubscribing? And then he said, listen, I'm moving back home and you guys are not there. And then they were like, okay, we are actually working on expanding into Africa. Would it be okay for us to reach out to you when that happens? And like, sure.
Exactly.
And they even said to him, when we do, you're going to get a lifetime 20% discount on the service because you've been a great customer with us, blah, 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 blah. And imagine 2 months before they came into Africa, he was the first people they informed. We mentioned to you that we'll be moving to Africa. We are available now in South Africa in the next 2 months, and our offer still stands. And now he is a subscriber for Netflix for life just because of that customer relationship.
That's how business should be done.
And knowing that my customer is leaving and I know why they're leaving and how do I keep them hooked.
That's how business
in
should
the
be
business.
done. That's how business should be done.
Again, paying attention.
Paying attention.
I think that's the biggest theme of this conversation, paying attention.
Maybe we must title this Pay Attention.
Yeah, it's a whole topic and conversation on its own, really, around paying attention because it's really important. When we close off this conversations with our Access Genie podcast, we like to do something that we call Fast Five.
Fast Five.
We ask you 5 questions that you need to answer in 1 word or sentence. So feel free to give me a sentence whenever you want to.
Is it timed?
It's not timed.
When we say
just
fast five, okay.
It's just
I
fast.
thought maybe it's like a 5 seconds.
No, it's not 5.
Okay, it's fine.
You
It's
can
fine.
take your time to think. We were really big on people taking their time to think because the answers need to be invaluable. They need to be like huge, right?
Okay, it could be fun though if you were like doing it in 5 seconds. But anyway,
do it in 5 seconds if you want to. You can do it in 5 seconds if you want to.
Okay,
So it's
let's
5-5. So in our Fast 5, our first question for you would be: what is the biggest sales mistake that most entrepreneurs make?
The biggest sales mistake most entrepreneurs make: not putting the customers first. They put themselves first. They put their product first, their solution first, not the customer first.
3 best tips for a great sales team.
Protect your mind. That's the first thing. Constantly protect your mind. Look for ways to improve. Evaluate yourself at the end of each day. What mistake did I make today? What was my win? What contributed to that? Number 3, I would say, never stop going. Resilience.
That's amazing. I love it when you talk about resilience because without resilience, you're nothing. You're easily swayed by small things that happen to you and happen around you. What does success mean to you today, and how has that definition changed over time?
Okay, that's an interesting one. I believe because we evolve as a people, right? And what success was for me when I was at university, it's not what it is today. Success at university meant, actually, you said one sentence, right? Mm-hmm. Success at university meant graduating and finding a job. That could be a success for that particular moment. I have a son. Success after I had my sons, part of my success was being a responsible father, a father who cares to look after my son and provide for him, build a good future for him, right? Now that we're expanding our business really into Africa, what success for me right now is looking like is in the next 2 years, if we actually manage to set up in these 9 countries, that will be a tick for us as part of what the success is at this point. But I mean, summing everything up together, I personally believe that success is about the ability to set yourself, a bucket list, if I may call it that, and constantly tick that and ask yourself, what's next?
What's next?
If
you were to have one conversation with one historical figure, who would you choose and why?
There's a lot of these people, man. Like there's a lot of these people, Let's go to the next question.
While you think.
Let me think about this one.
That's great.
Let me think about this one.
Not a problem at all. What are the key principles that drive your sales strategy?
Okay. Key principle which really drive the strategy is definitely your customer management variables. experience on each customer touch points, the customer journey, whatever touch points in there that needs to be enhanced. And it's definitely targets, goals, and constantly they need to improve that. So your strategy actually has to, include all this, right? So I could maybe add the last point in there, which is constantly monitoring and evaluation. Because at the end of the day, we need to ask the question, what's working, what's not working? You see what I'm saying? It's your previous question is definitely going to
We can take some water while you think about it.
I can give you the answer.
Okay.
I can.
Do you want me to ask it again?
Yeah, you can definitely ask it again.
So, if you were to have a conversation with one historical figure, who would you choose and why?
I'm gonna go for Solomon Mahlangu. And most people will be surprised. Say, oh, but why not going for someone who's in business and stuff? So I loved his belief in what he did. I love his belief in himself. And for me, I feel like that's one person that really stood up for something, and also was not shaken to even at the final moment to say, this is what I believe in, and if I'm going to be executed for this, then so be it. And I believe that maybe that's how all of us should be up when it comes to ourselves, when it comes to our goals and dreams. You must be so firm about it to say, it's life or death type of a situation. I die here. I die at this thing. If my life ends here, so be it.
Genies, you heard it from the sales king himself. Believe in yourself and pay attention to your customers first and whatever their behaviors are. Thank you so much for watching. And I hope you all go and get yourself a copy of Sell Smarter by Themba Nkuna. Enjoy your day. From the Cliffside Boutique Getaway. This podcast is for all entrepreneurs, leaders, and genies who are looking to learn from those who walked the path to success. Thank you so much for your support, and stay tuned to more Access Genie. New episodes drop every Monday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course on YouTube. Follow us on social media and share this podcast with your friends and your family so they too can be empowered. I hope you're leaving with a newfound source of energy to go after that life that you want. Good luck.